A woman, pregnant for 10 months, is devastated by the sudden death of her husband. What's even more unbearable is the police report stating he committed suicide due to embezzlement. But the woman firmly believes that her husband would never do such a thing, especially since he had called her right before his death, saying the company chairman had sent him on a last-minute business trip. She suspects there's a hidden truth behind his death. Determined to clear his name, the woman, Bora, drags her pregnant belly to confront the chairman. One of the chairman's daughters-in-law kindly brings her to the reception room, but upon seeing her, he changes his attitude and orders her thrown out. This scene is witnessed by the chairman's recently returned grandson, Hai Jun, who, seeing Bora heavily pregnant and asking for his grandfather, jumps to the wild conclusion that she might be carrying his grandfather's child. As Bora is thrown out, she suddenly experiences sharp labor pains and collapses, calling for help. Luckily, tenants near a motel rush to assist her. Realizing she's about to give birth, they carry her into the motel where the kind-hearted owner helps deliver her baby boy. When asked to contact her family, Bora breaks down in tears. Both she and her husband were orphans. Now that he's gone, she has no family left. Moved by her story, the motel owner offers her a place to stay. The tenants also extend their care and support during her recovery. After some rest, Bora recovers and goes to the coast to scatter her husband's ashes at sea, vowing to clear his name. On her way back to the motel, she's spotted by Hai Jun, who notices her pregnant belly is gone and assumes she faked the pregnancy to scam money. He waits outside the motel to expose her. Upon seeing her, Hai Jun accuses her of deception and even demands to check her stomach himself. Bora, shocked and angry at his outrageous behavior, thinks he's trying to take advantage of her and fights back fiercely. Despite being hit, Hai Jun insists on confirming his suspicions. Frustrated, Bora delivers a final blow that stuns him, and as she leaves, she warns him that she'll hit him every time she sees him.
Later, Bora returns to her husband's company to meet the chairman, but bumps into Hai Jun again. She thinks he's following her and prepares to confront him, until she overhears others addressing him as a director. Realizing he's part of the company, she quickly apologizes and pleads with him to help her get a meeting with the chairman. Understanding the misunderstanding and learning the truth behind her visit, Hai Jun agrees to help. Bora returns with her child to the company, but the baby starts crying loudly. Hai Jun brings them to his office and brags about how hard he worked to get the chairman to agree to the meeting. But Bora, focused on the baby, ignores him. Suddenly, Hai Jun smells something odd. Bora is about to change a diaper in his office, nearly making him vomit. He flees the scene. Thanks to Hai Jun's help, Bora finally meets the chairman and tells him about the phone call with her husband. However, the chairman says he never assigned that business trip and warns her not to return to the company. Frustrated, Bora goes to the police to request a reinvestigation, but the case has already been closed, and they present her with her husband's resignation letter, further proving it was a planned suicide. Bora is left feeling lost and hopeless. Meanwhile, Hai Jun struggles to lift a heavy barbell, and a kind cleaning lady offers to help, demonstrating the proper technique. However, Hai Jun misinterprets this as mockery and decides to teach her a lesson. Unfortunately, Bora's good intentions backfire, and a guest complaint causes her to be fired from a job that was supposed to last a month. To earn milk money for her baby, Bora takes a job collecting golf balls at a driving range, but accidentally hits Hai Jun on the head with a stray ball. She tries to run, but Hai Jun stops her and is shocked to find it's her. Again, he begins to feel that no matter where he goes, he runs into this troublemaking woman. One day, Bora returns to her hometown and coincidentally runs into Hai Jun, who is on a business trip. After a brief hello, she rushes off. Hai Jun, groggy from cold medicine, decides to call a driver. Bora sees him and offers to drive, proudly showing her license. Though Hai Jun is skeptical, she won't stop talking, so he agrees. But as soon as they get in the car, Bora asks how to start it. Hai Jun suddenly has a very bad feeling. It turns out Bora, despite having had her license for 2 years, is driving for the first time. She awkwardly drives at turtle speed. Hai Jun panics and asks her to stop so he can drive instead, but Bora insists that she'll get the hang of it in 30 minutes. Surprisingly, The scene shifts and they finally make it back safely. Bora drops Hae-jun off at the motel, then tells him to drive the car back himself. Hae-jun is speechless. She tries to give him 5,000 won for gas as a thank you, which only irritates him more. Meanwhile, internal conflict brews in the company. Though Hae-jun is being groomed as the successor, his uncle is eyeing the position. When the uncle hears about the scandal with Bora's husband, he sees a chance to discredit Hae-jun's branch of the family. He meets Bora and offers her a position as his personal assistant. Needing money and still seeking the truth, Bora agrees. Later, Bora brings her baby to the hospital for a shot. Suddenly, she feels intense stomach pain but can't go to the restroom because she's holding the baby. She begs Hae-jun for help, but he refuses, saying they're not that close. Desperate, Bora forces the baby into his arms and runs off. A nurse arrives, assumes Hae-jun is the father, and drags him off to the injection room. Seeing the large needle, Hae-jun worries for the baby's safety and bombards the nurse with questions, leaving everyone speechless. When Bora returns, the nurse praises Hae-jun's dedication, thinking he's the baby's father. Embarrassed but touched, Hae-jun walks out and Bora comes to thank him. Seeing the baby's innocent face, Hae-jun can't help but smile, only to quickly put on a cold face and walk away. But watching the mother and child walking alone, he feels pity and offers them a ride. While driving, he catches a whiff of something unpleasant. He rolls down the window, but remembering the baby shouldn't be in a draft, quickly closes it again. After dropping them off, he tells Bora he hopes they never meet again, words he's already said multiple times. The next day, Bora, now working as a secretary, shows up at Hae-jun's house, shocking him. He learns she's now working under his aunt, and on her first day, she gets into a physical fight with his cousin. The scene is chaotic, and Hae-jun, reluctant to get involved, tries to leave, but then rushes back to stop them before it escalates. Hae-jun pulls Bora aside and urges her to quit, but Bora is determined to find out the truth behind her husband's death and won't back down. Suddenly, she gets a nosebleed. As she wipes it, she smears blood across her face. Frustrated, Hae-jun pulls out tissues but misses every time, so he ends up wiping her face himself. Realizing the closeness, they quickly pull away, creating an awkward moment. Hae-jun's cousin, angry about the earlier fight, spends the day giving Bora pointless errands. By the end of the day, Bora's feet are blistered. Seeing her limping, Hae-jun thinks she's drunk, but she explains. Concerned, Hae-jun gives her his sneakers. When she hesitates, he jokes that she must be embarrassed about her smelly feet. Bora hurriedly puts them on to prove him wrong. As Hae-jun bends down to tie her laces, she reflexively pulls her leg away, making him fall to the ground. Hae-jun jokingly accuses her of doing it on purpose, and when she nervously apologizes, he smiles and ties the laces himself. In that moment, Hae-jun no longer seems like a cold-hearted elite, and Bora starts to feel a little warmth in her heart. As she says goodbye, Hae-jun jokes that he smelled foot odor while tying the laces. Bora, thinking he's serious, looks horrified, lifted her foot and sniffed it directly. Seeing her behavior, Hae-jun suddenly felt she was adorably silly. The next day at work, they ran into each other in the elevator again. Bora overheard that Hae-jun was going on a business trip to his hometown. She immediately said she was also returning home for some errands and asked if she could hitch a ride. On her last day at work, she tried to persuade him, but Hae-jun still refused her. She had no choice but to take a bus to her husband's superior's home. Previously, she'd learned from her husband's colleagues that he had met privately with his boss the night before his accident. She wanted to ask him about that day, but the boss deliberately avoided her and even called the police, accusing her of trespassing, and had her taken to the station. This single mother never dreamed that just sitting briefly in someone's yard would get her arrested. As she held firm in the interrogation room, she unexpectedly ran into someone familiar at the station. Hae-jun. The moment she saw him, it was like seeing a savior. She thought he'd help her, but Hae-jun turned and walked away without a word, leaving her stunned. Just when she thought she'd spend the night in a holding cell, Hae-jun suddenly reappeared and bailed her out. Still unwilling to give up, Bora returned to the boss's house, only to be told by neighbors that he had moved out. Her only lead had vanished. Devastated, Bora sat stubbornly on the ground, saying she would wait for him to come back. Hae-jun, unable to persuade her, decided to leave. But a sudden downpour made him hesitate. Worried, he returned with an umbrella and found Bora sobbing uncontrollably. Panicked, Hae-jun promised to help her find the man and even hooked pinkies with her as a promise. Only then did Bora agree to leave with him. On the way back, exhausted from the day, Bora fell asleep in the car. When they arrived at the hotel, Hae-jun couldn't bear to wake her. Seeing her sleeping uncomfortably with her seatbelt on, he leaned over to unbuckle it, only to accidentally brush lips with her. Startled, he immediately pulled back and nervously explained it was an accident. Frozen in place, Hae-jun asked why she seemed so calm. He was left speechless, unsure whether to blame her thick skin or sheer cluelessness. Back at home, Hae-jun kept replaying that moment in his head, feeling more flustered the more he thought about it. The next day at work, as he entered the elevator, Bora walked in. Hae-jun reacted like he saw a ghost and frantically pressed the buttons, but she still made it in. Facing her gaze, the once dominant CEO shrank into a timid little husband, hiding in the corner nervously. Bora could tell he was still bothered by what happened and reassured him not to overthink it, saying he wasn't her type anyway. That evening, Hae-jun's sister noticed a group of employees staying late to sort documents. A mischievous idea struck. She sent everyone home and called Bora, who was already off work, ordering her back to the office to sort files. Reluctantly, Bora brought her child along. Hae-jun happened to return to the office and, seeing the baby, couldn't help sitting down to play. But then he remembered the awkward moment from before and quickly pulled back, regaining his composure. Meanwhile, Hae-jun's mother had learned that Bora was still investigating her husband's death. To make her give up, she decided to teach her a lesson. Bora, thinking the mother wanted to talk about her husband's case, rushed over anxiously, unaware she was walking into a trap. The boss, in order to get rid of an employee she disliked, pretended to need a favor and sent Bora to a gallery. Once there, she triggered the security system and locked her inside. When Bora tried to leave, she discovered the doors were locked. Then, the gallery's alarm went off with a deafening siren, scaring her into tears. Though usually tough, Bora panicked in the chaos. At the same time, the security company called the woman who orchestrated the setup, and she lied that all staff had gone home, urging them to respond immediately. Her goal was to frame Bora as a thief, but things didn't go as planned. Soon, a team of security guards arrived. Bora thought she was saved, until they saw her holding a painting and immediately pulled out batons. Fearing her baby would get hurt, Bora obeyed them. Just then, the police also arrived, asking for her ID. In her rush to get there, Bora had left her bag and phone at the office. It looked like she was about to be arrested when Hae-jun rushed in. He explained that he had asked Bora to pick up the painting. Recognizing him as the gallery owner's son, the guards backed off. On the way back, Bora was still shaken but kept insisting she hadn't stolen anything. Hae-jun cut her off, saying he believed her without hesitation. That simple trust broke down her emotional wall. Remembering all the humiliation she had suffered, Bora burst into tears. Hae-jun carried the baby to the side, letting her cry it out in the car. Once she calmed down, Hae-jun lightened the mood with a joke. Seeing his serious expression, he couldn't help but laugh. The next day, under Hae-jun's persuasion, Bora accepted a half-hearted apology from his mother. For Hae-jun's sake, she didn't hold a grudge. Hae-jun also kept his promise and brought her husband's boss to meet with her. But the man, already in cahoots with Hae-jun's mom, insisted her husband's death was a suicide. Bora wasn't fooled. She was determined to uncover the truth. Hae-jun had come to comfort her, but found her eating instant noodles like nothing had happened. Not a trace of sadness on her face. Bora even offered him her noodles and thanked him sincerely, saying she would repay him one day. Hae-jun brushed it off casually. But as he was leaving, he bumped into his ex-girlfriend and her fiancé in the hotel lobby. She announced they were holding their wedding at the hotel next month and shamelessly flaunted their affection. When asked when he was getting married, Hae-jun was at a loss. Just then, he spotted Bora passing by. Suddenly inspired, he agreed to the dinner invitation and hurried to catch up with Bora. The proud heir didn't want his ex to know he was single, so he asked the single mom to pretend to be his fiancée. But Bora's rustic appearance clearly clashed with his elite image. So he took her to the hotel's makeup room and ordered the staff to give her a full makeover. Soon, a professional team arrived. After a while, Hae-jun eagerly entered the room. When the curtain opened, Bora had transformed into a stunning beauty, completely unrecognizable. Hae-jun was instantly captivated, frozen on the spot. Then Bora called his name, making him grin uncontrollably. But Bora still spoke with a heavy accent, prompting Hae-jun to beg her not to talk too much at dinner. He even gave her a borrowed ring to wear so they could appear more intimate. They entered hand in hand. Facing his ex and her fiancée, Hae-jun introduced Bora as his fiancée. When he praised her beauty, Bora shyly played along. The ex, realizing her plan to make him jealous was failing, began probing their relationship. Hae-jun claimed it was love at first sight, and Bora followed his lead. Then, the ex claimed she met her fiancé just 10 days after breaking up with Hae-jun. Both Hae-jun and Bora were dumbfounded by her shamelessness. She continued bombarding them with questions. Bora pretended to be shy and let Hae-jun answer everything, occasionally flashing their matching rings. Their sweet act left the ex clearly annoyed. Finally, the ex tried to break them up by pointing out their huge status gap, implying Bora wasn't good enough. Hae-jun's face darkened and he said the comment was disrespectful. Still undeterred, the ex told Bora to back off before it was too late. But what happened next stunned everyone. Bora pretended to feel nauseous. Hae-jun froze. Was he about to become an accidental dad? After dinner, Hae-jun scolded her for going too far. But Bora justified it, saying she just wanted to teach the ex a hard lesson. Hae-jun, hearing that, couldn't help but find it made sense. Despite being a wealthy heir pursued by countless rich heiresses, Hae-jun only had eyes for this simple single mom from the countryside. One winter day, seeing her struggling with her baby in heavy clothes, he built a lucky draw box and filled every prize with the same thing, a stroller. Then he called Bora, pretending the company needed her for overtime. Unable to find a babysitter, Bora brought her baby to the hotel. The moment she walked in, a Santa stopped her and said she'd win whatever she drew. She hesitantly drew a slip, which read stroller. Exactly the one she had long wanted but never bought. Watching her dance with joy from afar, Hae-jun couldn't help but smile. When she saw him, she excitedly told him she was incredibly lucky today, never realizing it was all his doing. The man's reaction to her answer made him a bit irritated. Just then, a restaurant staff member came over and said there was a promotion, they could take a family photo for them. The woman was about to refuse, but Hae-jun readily agreed. She stood up and held the baby in her arms, and just like that, they took their first photo together. That evening, after dropping the mother and child off at the hotel, Hae-jun happened to run into the man staying in room 3. At that time, he had no idea that this man was actually his sister's secret boyfriend. When he found out that the suitcase contained a stroller for the baby, Hae-jun was immediately furious. After returning home and thinking it over, Hae-jun still felt uneasy. So he called the woman and asked her which stroller she chose. Though puzzled by the question, she quickly answered. Hearing her reply, Hae-jun broke into a delighted grin. But then Bora added that the stroller she drew had already been used and wasn't easy to resell, so she returned the unopened one. It was more cost-effective. Hae-jun's smile faded instantly. With a sarcastic tone, he said, "You really know how to live frugally," and hung up. The next morning, Bora saw Hae-jun dragging a suitcase. He was heading abroad for a business trip. Seeing this reminded Bora of her late husband, and she broke down in tears. She instinctively grabbed Hae-jun's hand. Understanding that she was worried about him, Hae-jun didn't scold her for overreacting. Instead, he comforted her and promised to return safely. Bora gradually calmed down. However, Hae-jun had no idea what was about to happen next. On her first day driving the company vehicle, she was blocked by another car. The remote location made the situation suspicious. It could have been a scam or a robbery. Yet Bora, completely unsuspecting, got out of the car to check. Thankfully, the man had only been distracted while driving. Bora kindly reminded him to drive safely, unaware that someone had opened her car door and stolen a valuable painting worth billions from the back seat. By the time she reached her destination, the painting was already gone. She rushed to report the loss to the boss, who was furious and immediately ordered director Erxi to fire her. Erxi, who had orchestrated everything behind the scenes to get Bora out of the company, looked smug. What he didn't expect was that his own son would end up falling for this woman he had looked down upon. Meanwhile, Hae-jun had just landed overseas and immediately called Bora to let her know he was safe. As soon as she spoke, he could hear the tremble in her voice and asked what was wrong. Bora, trying to hold back her emotions, broke down upon hearing his voice. The way she unconsciously let down her guard in front of him made this single mother feel even more vulnerable. After that, she started avoiding Hae-jun, ignoring his calls and not replying to his messages. She thought this distance would help draw a clear line between them, not realizing it only made Hae-jun worry more. Once his business trip ended, Hae-jun returned home and immediately messaged Bora to meet up. Instead, he learned from his aunt that Bora had already been fired. He confronted his mother, demanding to know if she was behind it. His mother denied everything, but Hae-jun warned her. If he found out she was involved, he wouldn't let it go easily. Meanwhile, Bora, now jobless and needing to earn money for baby formula, had started working at a car wash. When Hae-jun found out the location from Yuzai, he rushed over. Seeing her there made his heart ache. He asked why she didn't tell him what had happened and said he would never have let it get this bad if he had known. But those words deeply wounded Bora's pride. Back at the office, Hae-jun still couldn't stop worrying. He returned to the car wash and saw Bora washing cars alone in the cold. He felt helpless and heartbroken. Suddenly, a high-pressure hose on the ground spun out of control. Hae-jun rushed forward to shield her in his arms. Realizing what had happened, Bora quickly pushed him away. Seeing her try to keep her distance made it impossible for Hae-jun to suppress his feelings any longer. Though already 30 and still single, Hae-jun had been introduced to many rich heiresses, none of whom he liked. Instead, he confessed to a single mom from the countryside. But Bora coldly rejected him after a short pause. Despite the harsh rejection, Hae-jun didn't give up. From then on, he showed up at the car wash every day. Each time, he insisted on washing the car himself while Bora rested. To ensure her job security, he even bought a year's worth of car wash vouchers on the spot, making the boss beam with joy. His colleagues joked that Bora really struck gold with such a rich and considerate boyfriend. But Bora knew the vast difference in their social status, and she still hadn't uncovered the truth about her husband's death. She kept pushing Hae-jun away. She thought this stalemate would last indefinitely, until one day, she got a call at work. The chubby nanny watching her child had lost him. Bora panicked and burst into tears. Hae-jun quickly took her home. The nanny was completely dazed, unable to remember where she'd left the child. Frantic, Bora rushed out like a headless chicken. But Hae-jun noticed a supermarket raffle sticker on the nanny's hand. It gave him an idea, and he took Bora to the supermarket. As she anxiously searched, she didn't see a car backing up. Luckily, Hae-jun pulled her back in time, injuring his forehead in the process. Ignoring his wound, he urged her to find the child first. Sure enough, inside the supermarket, Bora found the baby surrounded by concerned onlookers. She scooped the crying child into her arms. Hae-jun, still looking shaken, arrived shortly after and let out a deep breath of relief. When someone commented that the child's dad had arrived, Hae-jun didn't deny it. He thanked them in the role of the father. Only then did Bora notice the wound on Hae-jun's forehead. She immediately took him to the hospital. Even after the doctor said it was minor, she insisted he get a full-body checkup. After leaving the hospital, they went to a restaurant. Hae-jun pretended his arm hurt and said he couldn't hold chopsticks. When Bora thought of how he got hurt protecting her, She didn't argue and fed him a piece of meat. But just after a couple bites, Hae-jun, smug with success, slipped up and revealed he wasn't really injured. After some playful teasing, Hae-jun pulled out a box of calming pills from his pocket. This small gesture touched Bora deeply and also made her feel unworthy of someone like him. But before she could finish what she wanted to say, Hae-jun interrupted her. On the way home, Hae-jun sincerely expressed his feelings again. He hoped Bora would give it serious thought before giving him an answer. He said he wasn't as perfect as she thought. Bora didn't understand what he meant until the next day, when a news report broke out about Hae-jun faking his academic credentials. At home, Bora tried to put out the fire, but a sudden explosion startled her. The flames quickly grew, and Bora stood frozen in shock. In that critical moment, Hae-jun burst in and shielded her. Seeing him, she broke down in tears. Hae-jun, once the heir to a billion-dollar conglomerate, had lost everything because of the fake degree. But after his mother pleaded with the family patriarch, the old man agreed to give him another chance. If he went abroad, earned a real degree, and returned, then he could inherit the company. Otherwise, it would go to his sister. Hae-jun hesitated. He didn't want to go abroad because he had fallen for this single mother. His mother, not knowing what Bora had done to enchant her son, even knelt before Bora, begging her to leave him so he could take over the company. Knowing she had no future with Hae-jun, Bora promised not to hold him back. When Hae-jun asked her to wait for him, she cruelly told him she had no interest in him. Heartbroken, Hae-jun decided to follow his mother's plan. But on the way to the airport, he recalled their moments together and made a last-minute decision to see Bora one more time. That decision ended up saving her from a fire. Shaken by the experience, Hae-jun gave up on going abroad. He made up his mind, no matter what, he would stay by Bora and her child's side. Bora, after nearly dying, also realized her true feelings. She had fallen for this thoughtful, caring heir. This time, she chose to follow her heart. Hae-jun smiled with joy when he heard this. But what awaited him was his family's fury. When he showed up at home instead of going abroad, his grandfather was furious to learn he gave up everything for a woman. He disowned Hae-jun and cut him off from the family fortune. Even his mother slapped him in anger. Now penniless, Hae-jun went to stay at Bora's rented hotel. The owner, upon learning about their relationship, happily gave him a room. The once wealthy heir settled into his new modest life. Living under the same roof, their feelings for each other deepened. Life seemed peaceful until one day, a USB drive appeared and shattered everything. Bora found the USB in her late husband's belongings. Driven by curiosity, she opened it and her face turned pale. It contained records showing Hae-jun's mother had embezzled massive funds from the company. Hae-jun realized her husband's death might be connected to his mother. To uncover the truth, he immediately took the USB to confront her